You are listening to WebFit News Live Radio. News that fits your fast life.
All right, let's get right into it. For what feels like forever, the New Zealand property market has been all about one thing: fear. Fear of rates going up, fear of prices coming down. Well, I'm here to tell you that era is officially over. We are in a massive pivotal moment, a great reset, and this is your playbook for what's coming next.
So this is the question, right? The big one on everybody's mind. Doesn't matter if you're a homeowner looking at a refix, a first home buyer desperately trying to get a foot in the door, or an investor sniffing around for a new opportunity. What is the absolute smartest thing you can do with your money right now? Stick with me, because by the end of this, you're going to have a very clear answer.
Everything, and I mean everything, comes down to this one number: 2.25%. That's the new official cash rate, the OCR, from the Reserve Bank. And look, it's not just some random number. It's a massive signal that has completely changed the entire game. It's the key to understanding everything that's going to happen through 2026. Let's break down exactly what it means for you. We're calling this whole new chapter the Great Rate Pivot. Why? Because the country's entire economic game plan has just done a 180, from fighting inflation to kicking off a recovery. And to get how this is going to affect your mortgage, you have to understand the mothership, the OCR.
So what even is the OCR? You know, in the simplest terms, it's the wholesale price of money for the big banks. When the Reserve Bank moves this rate up or down, it's like sending up a huge flare, signaling where they want the economy to head. In the latest signal, it's a massive flashing green light.
And here is the absolute crucial point. The Reserve Bank is saying that 2.25% is the floor, the bottom. They've basically come out and declared victory over that inflationary dragon. What that means for you is that the relentless cycle of rate hikes that has been squeezing Kiwi households is done. Finito. This brings a level of certainty back to the market that we just haven't seen in years.
But here's where it gets really interesting. A bit of a twist. The OCR, the official rate, went down. But get this. Look at what happened to the wholesale swap rates. Those are the rates banks use to price your fixed-term mortgage. They actually went up. So why on earth did that happen? Well, because the big money markets had already priced in this cut and were actually hoping for an even bigger one. When they didn't get it, those wholesale rates ticked up a bit. It is a classic case of buy the rumor, sell the fact. And it tells us something really important. That little window for those absolute rock-bottom, once-in-a-lifetime fixed rates, it may have already closed.
Okay, so with the whole rate environment now stable, the battle has totally shifted. The banks are no longer just reacting to the Reserve Bank, they are now fighting tooth and nail against each other for your business. So let's take a look at the weapons they're bringing to this new price war.
And weapon number one is cold hard cash. Right now, ANZ is leading the pack with a huge 1.5% cashback offer. To put that in perspective, on an $800,000 loan, that is $12,000 tax-free in your pocket on settlement day. It is an incredibly aggressive move designed to poach customers, and it's forcing every other bank to get competitive.
Now, the other big battleground is these green loans for making your home more energy efficient, and this just perfectly shows the differences in strategy. While ANZ and ASB have a pretty good product at 1%, Westpac is the undisputed champion here with its 0% interest loan for 5 years. Let me say that again, 0%. Borrowing 50 grand from Westpac costs you nothing in interest. From the others, it could cost you up to $2,500. The math is just undeniable. So, with this crazy competition as the backdrop, let's see how it's all shaking out in the country's biggest property market.
Okay, let's zoom in on the biggest market of them all, Auckland. Right now, it's not crashing, but it's not booming either. It's kind of stuck in what you call a stalemate, and a couple of key numbers really tell the whole story.
And that story starts right here with this number, over 6,000. That is how many properties were listed for sale in Auckland at the end of October. It's what we call a wall of supply, and it's putting a very powerful lid on any chance of major price growth.
Now, part of the reason for the supply is, well, a bit of pain. This chart shows a pretty sobering reality. Nearly 1 in 5 homeowners who sold in the last quarter did so for less than they paid for their house. These are folks who likely bought at the absolute peak and had been forced to sell, creating even more stock for the market to soak up. So here's the bottom line. When you combine that massive wall of supply with prices that are basically flat, you get a classic buyer's market. Simple as that. For the first time in a very long time, buyers have the luxury of choice and, more importantly, the power to negotiate really, really hard.
So we've covered the great rate pivot, we've seen the bank price war, and we've looked at the Auckland stalemate.
Now for the most important part, how do you take all this information and turn it into a winning strategy for 2026?
Right across the board, from all the experts, the consensus pick, the sweet spot, is the one-year fixed rate, which is sitting around 4.49%. And why is that? It's actually pretty simple. It gets you a really great low rate right now, but it also gives you amazing flexibility. You're not locking yourself in for years on end, which lets you come back and reevaluate things in late 2026 when the market has settled down even more.
And for all you first home buyers out there, listen up, because this is your moment. The playbook is so straightforward. First, target that 5% deposit and use the Kainga Aura First Home Loan Scheme to help get you there. Second, you have to know that from December 1st, the banks have a bigger quota for low deposit lending, meaning they are actively looking for people just like you. And third, with all that choice out there, negotiate like your future depends on it, because it kinda does.
And finally, the ultimate summary. If you're going to screenshot just one slide, make it this one. Let's run through it. For the best overall rates across all the different fixed terms, the clear winner is Westpac. They are consistently offering those sub 5% deals. If you're thinking about a top-up loan for some renos, again, it's Westpac with that unbeatable 0% green loan. But if you just want pure upfront cash, ANZ's huge 1.5% cashback is in a league of its own. And finally, if you're someone who prioritizes long-term stability and safety, Co-op and ANZ come out on top. They have the highest capital ratios, which is just a fancy way of saying they have the biggest safety buffer for any future economic shocks.
So, here it is, the big takeaway. The era of fear is over. It's been replaced by an era of opportunity and intense competition. The banks are now fighting for your business with cash, with sharp rates, and with special deals. The market is finally giving buyers the upper hand. So the question is no longer, oh no, what if rates go up? The question now is, what's your next move going to be?